Yes, y'all. Welcome into episode 246 of the Dumb Marks podcast. It's your favorite Saturday brunch bunch back at it again, coming off of a July 4th hangover weekend, so to speak. So hopefully everybody was safe last night. Had some fun with family and friends.
Still
Gentlemen,
has
how
all
we
10
living?
fingers, all 10 toes. Yeah, no accidents this holiday.
Chris is still in the American spirit with the patriotic Bucky's tee on right there.
Had one on yesterday, got one on today.
It's not like getting beaver 2 days in a row. That's a beautiful thing right there.
God bless America.
It's America. It's America right there. So we're back at it with the triple threat edition. Got a huge show laid out. There's a lot of stuff this week.
Donald's on vacation this week.
Donald's on vacation. We got wrestling roulette, Mount Rushmore's mushes. We got a game that ties into Jason's favorite wrestling group of all time. So yeah, we got a huge program today. A lot laid out, a lot to get into.
Jason's thinking out there that could be anybody.
Yeah, could be anybody.
White women.
Could be anybody. But no, we're back at it again. How was your week?
Not too bad. For a short work week, it was busy, so it was nice to have a day off yesterday. Got some stuff done that I've been putting off for a bit, so it was actually productive. So that was a good thing.
Jason, did you do any yard work over the last week?
Me?
We haven't had rain.
Yeah, no. I did that like 3 weeks ago. It's already back and I'm done for the summer. Yep. Nope.
I was gonna say it's gonna start raining in a couple more days, so
Yeah.
You get one time a year for me. I did my due diligence. Let the snow take over.
You sound like somebody that's been married for 20 years. No, you get 1 year. You get one round out of me per year. That's it. I caught up on some sleep finally last night. Backtracking all the way to Monday night, and felt good. Body's a little sore though today. I don't know if I slept too long or what, but
I said you do your round.
Yeah, no, of course not. Yeah, but no, it was a long week. Off for a couple days here, so that'll make next week an extra long work week. In that regards, but yeah, all in all, busy week in the world of pro wrestling.
Jason's down there like, tell me about it. He's gone for the week. Got to do the work of two people this week, huh?
Solo man on the 2-man crew.
That's right. But man, it kicked off with me venturing down to PPG Paints Arena, going for the double dip session of WWE programming that was Raw and SmackDown this week.
Squeeze should have tagged in for Donald this week. You guys could have told us
he
all
should
about
have.
it.
I don't know if Squeeze is even alive after Monday night. I did message the group first thing Tuesday morning, and he did respond. I don't know if he was up or if he was already back on the road heading back to the mush state of Ohio. But yeah, it was a night to be had, boys. It was, a famous man once said, "I've dined with kings and queens and then eaten franks and beans." That was me Monday night. I was out there. I was with kings and queens on Monday night, boy. And then yesterday I had baked beans with some barbecue food on the grill. So I literally lived the life of Dusty Rhodes in the span of 5 days.
So where were the seats at Monday night?
So we were in section 107, so directly across from the entrance.
Okay.
Really good seats. Going to TNA live the weekend before, been to AEW shows and that. Wrestling to me, Monday nights pretty much stamped this for me. Wrestling live is a way better experience than watching it on TV.
Yeah. DJ's up.
If only they had commentary, I'd be all game.
Yeah. I mean, that is the only downside.
It doesn't work.
But yeah, but I mean, being in the arena live, like the show started right at 6 p.m.
Okay.
It was the speed match beforehand. So Thea Hale came out to a nice hometown pop, the Plumboro native.
That's
So
good.
one just the speed match. That was it. Nothing else beforehand. I like that, DJ. I like that. But Raw went live right at 6 into Netflix. Ran till roughly about 8:30-ish. They flipped the mats over real quick, and then we got right into taping SmackDown. And that the taping of SmackDown went and ended probably, I would say, maybe about 10
Had
after
some
10.
technical issues here.
That's how it always is. It went to about 10 after 10, quarter after 10. So like 4 hours and 10 minutes. But it flew by. Didn't really think of it. Wasn't checking my watch. They kept us entertained the entire time with 2 really good shows. Some really good wrestling, really good tag team wrestling on Monday night across both shows, which I appreciated a whole lot. There were about 2 or 3 dead segments or dead matches. Other than that, the crowd was lit. I watched SmackDown back last night and saw the audio issues, and it made it seem like there was nobody in the arena. I know people were tweeting that out on Monday night. There were definitely some audio issues, whether they weren't picking stuff up. Even backstage segments that were live on Raw, the audio wasn't being played in the arena, so you couldn't hear what was going on. So not sure what happened in that regards, but yeah, man, crowd was lit.
So yeah, we were talking briefly on that because Steve, me and you went to AEW for the 5th year show last year, and people were tweeting out for that one how the crowd was dead on coming off on TV, and we said, no, the crowd's lit live.
Yeah. I called in the Busted Open live. I called in the Busted Open live from the arena, and Bully Ray was like, "Wait, you're yes, I am. I'm live in the arena, Bully." Because of how bad he was talking about the crowd.
Yeah. And him and Dave were doing that on Tuesday. I don't know if you end up listening to Busted Open. They were talking about same thing that Bully was saying then was like how Pittsburgh isn't usually a hot crowd, and it's like they're usually just that blue collar crowd that doesn't really pop for a lot of stuff. And it's just like now I'm wondering, because you said that you were in like the 100 level. My cousin went to the shows, his first WWE show on Monday, and he told me that he felt like the crowd was dead the entire night, but he was also up in the 200 level. So I wonder if there was that difference, if maybe the 100 level was a little bit more hot than the upper deck was. But
yeah, I mean, like Rhea opened the show to a huge pop. Trish obviously got a huge pop. They damn near turned Judgment Day baby faces by the crowd reaction on Monday night. They got a huge pop when they won the tag team belts. Like they outside of like the Michin BFAB tag match with Flair and Bliss, Bayley and Lyra was dead, and there may have been like one other segment. Outside of that, like it was a live, typical raucous crowd in Pittsburgh. Like I didn't walk out of there feeling like, oh, you guys let me down from a crowd aspect compared to other shows that I've been at. So
okay.
I heard the Rhea pop. I heard the Judgment Day pop. Who opened SmackDown?
Cody.
I heard that pop, and that pop seemed like it was louder coming across the TV than when I heard anything on Monday. So I was like, okay, you're on this. This is the second hour or the third hour. Fans didn't die down a bit. I was expecting like it to be like, wrestling fatigue at that point, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Like I said,
it pop, but it came across louder on USA than it did on Netflix.
Yeah, I don't know, but they kept the show rolling. Like it was one thing after the other.
Yeah.
Obviously, having a talent come in from Saudi in a 24 to 32 hour turnaround time to get them to come out and wrestle and put on a performance and everything else. Like
everybody,
outside of not John Cena and Goldberg not showing up, you got all the great hits on Monday night. From there, right? I yeeted live. That was tremendous. Like, I don't care if you just say he's an entrance or not. Being in that atmosphere,
yeah,
bro, TV doesn't do it justice. Like you get,
So I was the mark at TNA, but
I mean,
I was cool.
He has on the Yeet shirt. He
yeah. I came in with the Yeet shirt on today. Like we was, yeah. I mean, everybody from 4-year-old kids to 65-year-old grandfathers that were there with grandkids. Everybody was up yeeting. Like that man is over Rover. Like it's insane. The energy that comes through that building when that music hits. Crazy. Like absolutely crazy. Drew McIntyre got a huge pop for a holy shit moment because nobody was expecting him to come back. Like crowd was lit. You know.
Right, DJ?
Yeah, and then afterwards, after the show ended, we ventured across to the street. Thanks to Squeeze, and Squeeze knows everybody. It was out there whining and dining with Dalton and Sacco. If you're on TikTok, you know who they are.
I saw that before you posted that. I had saw them post like a live video that they were in like the front row. So I was like,
yeah. You want to talk about Mount Rushmore of interracial couples? Like it was me and Squeeze were like, oh, this is tremendous. Like,
oh, okay, I know you're talking about.
Yeah.
So they're supposed to be live, and I'm like, okay, they're in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. And Squeeze knows him. They played ball together back in the day. So. Yeah, we was in the hotel room, tequila was flowing, drinks were flowing. We were at the bar with Hurricane, Shane Helms was there, Daivari was there, Mark Madden, Justin LaBar, Trish Stratus walked through the lobby, CM Punk was there, Roxanne, Julia, like it was a who's who in the Berg. So yeah, great night. Tremendous outing. I got home late and went to work very, very early. So, yeah.
Should have just stayed down there, slept at the office.
Bro, if I could have left my car in the garage overnight, I definitely would have. I would have pulled up. There was a free hotel room. They screwed up booking. So Dalton and Sacco had 2 hotel rooms. And they were like, if anybody wants to stay, feel free. And I'm like, I can't keep my car here. I got to go home. Like,
will they tow it if it stays overnight?
I guess. I don't know. I wasn't taking that chance.
Yeah,
even though it was in my building for work, like I still wasn't, gonna take that chance. But yeah, tremendous outing, tremendous time. We'll see see if we can get, them on the pod here. It's in the works, it's in the background. So yeah, we was out. I was working. I wasn't just down there enjoying myself. I was down there working. Okay. So
he was eating all over the place. That's all he was doing.
At least she had merch on.
Yeah. My wife was like, I opened up Facebook for the first time in months, and what's the first thing I see? You in a hotel room with another white guy and another black girl. So yeah. But
living the gimmick like Flair.
Yeah. Oh boy, I was out there. Woo! I was out there. Rolex wearing for sure. So great time. Thanks for Squeeze for the invite. Appreciate it. Good crowd. It's a really good time when everybody around you is like all conversating and having a good time and everything else. Like people behind us, in front of us, to the sides, like everybody in our section, you would have thought like we've all went to the show together. Like, so that made it for a more enjoyable experience too. In that regards, didn't have any issues crowd wise or people being ridiculous and so on and so forth. So
Cena, for sure. Cena.
Yeah, 70 and a half hot dogs is just ridiculous. Yeah. A lot of glizzies. Don't know how you glizzy that much glizzies, but
pause.
Yeah, pause. So, all right. With that being said, we could tie in Mount Rushmore, so on and so forth here as we go through a little wrestling roulette edition of the Dunmarks podcast. So I got 6 topics as always. I'll throw them out there in around the horn style. Get your guys' take on these 6 topics here, and we'll get into Mount Rushmores and mushes as well. So with that in mind, we'll kick it off to the Bucky Beaver expert over there to the right. Chris, give me a number 1 through 6.
Hey, we got the 3-man booth.
All right. Well, this can tie into anybody's Mush or Mount Rushmore if you want, but Dynamite 300 was Wednesday night, as well as Collision 100 tonight. Tony Khan put out some stats regarding the growth of the audience quarter over quarter, and that led to a big beef on social media between Raj Giri and Dave Meltzer this week. However, if you look at the overall numbers, Dynamite 100 did over 1 million viewers. Dynamite 200 did just under 900,000. And Wednesday night for Dynamite 300 topped at 584K, which was behind U.S. Soccer, MLB on ESPN, Fox News, and during the second hour had less viewers than a show on HDTV. So
that's why HDTV was trending.
With that being said, is there a solution? What can be done to grow the audience of AEW?
They got to give you a reason to actually tune in every week other than matches. They need to, like, this Death Rider storyline has proved, even though Tony will sit there and say that that's the ratings show, it's a popular storyline. I don't think it's bringing in fans.
Yeah.
Like you might be getting your diehards tuning in for it, but I don't think it's generating new fans. They need that storyline that I was hoping this was going to be to generate new fans.
Not only that, but Tony Khan had comments this week as well saying the fans are a huge influence on him and the feedback that they give on what works and what doesn't, and how that directly impacts what is being shown on television.
Yeah, Vince said he listened to the fans too.
But in Tony's case, I legitimately feel like he's done that. Like, he books more towards an audience than any other promoter that I could think of in pro wrestling history. And
sometimes it's not the right move.
Yeah, like
I said, I didn't watch Dynamite. I actually thought about tuning into Dynamite this week, but I held strong because I didn't want to watch anything AEW building up to All In, because back before Dynamite, I had more interest in the events whenever they would just do like the promos building up to the first couple events.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I enjoyed that anticipation building up to it. And I wanted to see if maybe I took out the weekly hits and misses of AEW, if I enjoyed the pay-per-view better than I have enjoyed the past couple. So that's part of the reason why I haven't been tuning in, but we'll see after All In happens next weekend.
There was Wednesday night, there were, thinking back, there were probably two segments which to me encapsulates the issue with AEW right now. First part was Mox's promo in the Hangman segment to open the show. What are we doing? You have Moxley out there telling Hangman, you buckle under pressure. You don't want to be at the top of the mountain. You don't do what it takes to be at the top of the mountain. And I'm sitting there listening to it, and I'm like, bro, he's been a champion. He's carried the company. What are you talking about?
I'm actually surprised you're talking bad on this, because everything I saw online, people like that opening segment.
I don't have a problem with the segment. I enjoyed the segment
just
itself
and
the build to get to the Texas Death Match that they're gonna have at All In. It was just literally the words that Mox was saying whenever he was talking to Hangman that I'm like, yo, this is counterintuitive. This is nothing. This has nothing to do with the Hangman character or the Hangman, the wrestler. Like, he's been to the mountaintop. He's held the belt. He's defended it. He's wrestled in Texas death matches. He beat you in a Texas death match in 2023. He choked you out. So, like, you saying that he doesn't have what it takes and he's not ready for Texas death and he buckles under pressure and he doesn't want the mountaintop, that is completely counterintuitive to everything that Hangman has done in his past in AEW. Right? Like
the only thing I'm happy with on this Death Rider gimmick right now is it seems like not a lot. There's definitely more people I feel like are coming to my side where like they're just not a fan of John Moxley at the moment.
And then the other thing that encapsulates this AEW issue right now, Jet Speed in the Hurt Syndicate, like, bro, all that was done to garner sympathy on Jet Speed as these just ever fighting underdogs who continue to rise up and will overcome injuries and this and that and take ass whoopings and everything else. And it's like, yo, in what world is Mike Speedball Bailey and Kenny King supposed to be in there and actually be believable against the Hurt Syndicate?
Right.
Like, what please.
Nobody should honestly be believable against the Hurt Syndicate.
In what universe? Like, tag team wrestling in AEW was supposed to change the game. It's supposed to change the game. And that is by far the weakest division of AEW and has been for a really long time.
Since Tony really took over, yeah. When the Bucks were creating or actually managing that division, it was a stronger division than what it is now.
So, I mean,
do you think an individual feud instead of taking on a faction, like we just had the Bloodline, and say what you will, the Bloodline was the reason we tuned in, the storyline of the Bloodline.
Right.
You think an individual feud, I mean, you haven't seen anything like that in a while, and we'll never see it again, where a faction takes over. More normally, you're tuning in for the biggest feuds are one-on-one. That bring in the most, viewers, has the most compelling storylines. Do you think that is what they need instead of this Death Riders?
They had it last year in the men's and women's division, and it still hasn't translated over. No. You had Hangman and Swerve, and then you had Tony and Mariah.
Yeah.
So they had that with two of the top 5 individuals in the men's division in Hangman and Swerve, and then the top 2 in the women, Mariah and Tony, and you're still at 584 for your 300th episode.
Take New Japan, because New Japan is strictly wrestling for the most part. But look how over the Bullet Club made New Japan. It was a lot of matches. It was a little bit of story, but it was enough to get you to tune in, every event for a lot of that.
I don't like when me and Chris are on the same wavelengths, but that does lead into another wrestling roulette topic that I can throw out there right now. If we want to go into that, if nobody got anything else. So in that ilk with New Japan, Zack Sabre Jr. won the IWGP heavyweight title for the second time, defeating Hiroki Goto on a TV special event. Does this spark life back in the New Japan, and how can they get back up to being one of the top promotions in pro wrestling, if possible? So I think, Chris, you already sparked it off with that conversation there, as far as what Bullet Club did to New Japan, so on and so forth.
You have Tanahashi about to retire. G1's just starting, which is,
their big tournament of the year.
Yeah, that's like when a lot of eyes get focused on New Japan besides Wrestle Kingdom. They need to focus, and I think they are to an extent, like take a Gabe Kidd. They need to focus on the next up and coming talent. You no longer have Okada there to rely on. Tanahashi's going away. It's all about who's next. It's giving Zack Sabre Jr. the title this year to try that out, whenever he really hadn't had that shot before. Something will eventually click with that.
Are they just like, to me, they're almost like a feeder system for AEW when you look at the mass exodus of top talent that have left outside of Tama Tonga, Hikuleo, Tongaloa, and Jeff Cobb. Everybody else has gone to AEW, and even Gabe Kidd, he was still back out there doing his
whatever the point of that was.
New Japan, and I need the belt, and I run this and everything else. But it's like, yo, you just collected checks from AEW from going over and doing that. So where's your alliance truly lie at? They need something to spark off interest again, and I don't know if they have. I don't know what they have the ability to pull out to get people to wake up outside of the diehard wrestling fans to wake up and tune into a Wrestle Kingdom at 2 a.m.
What usually sparks the interest outside like the Bullet Club is a lot of these G1 Classic matches. You know, if there are a few decent matches in there, you know, to make wrestling fans want to be interested again, that could get you a little bit of the interest right now.
I mean, the G1 last year is what set Takeshita off to where I was tuning in like, yo, this dude, why is this not on AEW on a week in and week out basis?
Yeah.
But again, I'm watching the G1 thinking about AEW because it's an AEW talent in the G1 having banger after banger matches.
It was never viewed like that in AEW until that point.
Yeah. So, we'll see. I like having New Japan up in the conversation and being up there is definitely better for pro wrestling. They just seem like they're so depleted from a roster standpoint as far as top name draws that it's going to take time to build up individuals again.
Yeah.
So we'll see if they can get back on the road to being more in the discussion outside of your hardcore wrestling fans in that regards there. So, well, since Chris, you went 2 for 2 on a wrestling roulette, let's just go into your Mount Rushmore this week. What is your Mount Rushmore for the week that was in pro wrestling?
My Mount Rushmore this week, I'm giving it to Ali and Cedric on TNA, their promo in the ring to set up their match for Slammiversary. I really enjoyed that confrontation. I think that was one of the more stronger promos TNA's had in ring in a while. More because the guys are friends in real life. They played well off each other, and you could actually feel the emotion as they're going back and forth on the mic. I just thought the promo came off real well. I was hoping maybe the Masha Killer Kelly match was going to be, and it was a good match, but that promo shined a little bit better than that match ended up turning out to be.
That was something I hope we got a glimpse of when we were live.
Okay.
We just got the turn in the beginning stages.
Yeah. No, I mean, when you start looking at the card for Slammiversary and how it's laid out, I mean, there's a lot of good wrestling, good stories. Like, there's a lot of stuff that I want to see to make me tune in to Slammiversary. So, I know we got a couple more weeks to go, build-wise, but for me, like what I've seen of the card and how it's shaping up and the matchups, like I feel it's definitely worthy of tuning in to watching. And for them, it's one of their biggest shows of the year, if not the biggest show of the year for TNA. That's me. Yeah, we brought that up a couple of weeks ago, DJ, with that sweet spot for TNA. That 05, that 5-year, 6-year run there.
You had the X Division and the women. Yeah.
Jay, what's your Mount Rushmore this week in pro wrestling?
I'll go with everything lumped into this Women's Evolution tag team women's match. Because I'm hoping it's Zarya and Sol Ruka from NXT. I don't know if it's either them or Izzy and Tatum to put in that match for the NXT women.
Okay.
And they put on a hell of a match on Tuesday. And then
you got Blissful Flair.
Yeah, it leads up to Blissful Flair.
I don't know if that's the official tag team name for Charlotte and Alexa, but Blissful Flair, I like it. From a name standpoint,
it was good seeing the different part of Charlotte come out.
So here's what I want to ask you with this, and not to jump off your Mount Rushmore, because your Mount Rushmore does tie into one of the wrestling roulette questions.
Yeah.
Sticking with Charlotte, do you think the pairing of her with Alexa is being done to actually get her to be a babyface? Because she's outside of the title picture. She's not solo. Granted, they still have their issues, but me live in the audience on Monday night, seeing them interacting and everything, I'm like, oh, they're solely doing this to get Charlotte to be cheered and become a babyface. Like, that's the clear path and plan for it. So I don't know how it will play out, but do you feel that's the reason why they're sticking them two together?
I believe so, but then you'll get that eventual turn.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's the end game?
Yeah,
I mean, the end game, if you're going by that booking logic, the end game would be to have Alexa turn on Charlotte and make Alexa the bad guy.
I'd go with that. Yeah,
it would be it. I mean,
it's MJF Adam Cole.
Hey, they may have found their MJF and Adam Cole with them too. You never know. Like, so we'll see. But that does lead into another wrestling roulette question. So Jay, I'll throw this out there to you first to respond. Evolution 2 next week, obviously. The rumor and innuendo that came out this week is that talent has felt like the event is a setup and that they're made to fail based on a lack of build, and then also them running the same night as Beyonce concert that's in town, that's already been booked out and sold out, as well as All In being the same night as well.
No, All In's the day before.
Or the day before. But do you feel like All In or Evolution 2 is going to be a failed event based off of some of those factors?
For me, no, because I'm going to tune in. But I hope it doesn't affect the attendance.
It does.
It does. It hasn't. There hasn't been a lot of ticket movement
right now. They've only, so to compare, Saturday night's main event, as of whenever this was posted, was 10,000 seats sold, and Evolution is 4,800. I brought this up whenever they announced Evolution 2. Yeah. Was it last month, the week before, or the month before, that the Beyonce concert was a terrible oversight by WWE.
Yeah,
it's like 2 doors down from them. Like,
yep.
Like, it's going to be a cluster down there already, and then you're going to try to get people to choose one or the other. I think we know who they're going to choose.
Yeah, that's terrible booking.
Yeah. And the women do not deserve another show. That's
half-ass show.
Yeah.
I mean, look, they obviously they changed a bunch of creative around with Liv being injured and how that impacted the layout of the show. You're rushing to a build, so you have your champions call out who they want to challenge against.
I didn't enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, Io
picking who they defend. Yeah.
Donald's mush actually ties into Evolution as well, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, Io and Rhea, and then you got Tiffy and Trish. There's supposed to be some maybe TNA knockouts joining the card. So yeah, we'll see. I'm gonna tune in and watch it.
Definitely, yeah.
But I definitely feel like
WWE event, that's the one I'm looking forward to the most.
And there's a lot going on next weekend. You got 4 events. You got Evolution,
3 WWE, 1
All In. You got Saturday Night's main event, and then you also got NXT's Great American Bash.
And then, if you want to count it, Ring of Honor Friday night.
Yeah. So, I don't even know if we'll have time for Mount Rushmores and Wishes next week, because it'll just be a straight prediction show.
I've been thinking about how the layout's going to work next week.
Yeah. But I feel like for the amount of time that's lapse that has gone on since the first Evolution, to just hastily throw it out there, like you're doing a disservice to your women's roster. So we'll see what happens with that in that regard. So look at you guys tying in Mount Rushmores to wrestling roulette topics, and we didn't even do any pre-production. This is tremendous.
You want me to give Donald's before you go, Steve?
Yeah, what's Donald's?
So kind of a loose one here. There was nothing worth a Mount Rushmore this week for me because the return of El Grande Americano was just so epic.
Yeah, I was in the crowd spoiling that for everybody. He popped up on screen and there was like 7 people behind me like, who is it? And I was like, it's Ludwig Kaiser. They're like, oh shit, it is Ludwig. Look at him.
Did y'all see the backstage with them?
Yeah.
American Made, and he was hanging behind the back.
Yeah.
Okay.
At least the past 2 weeks. I don't know if it's been more than that, but
okay. So y'all saw that in stadium?
So we did see that live in the arena as they did it. I have 2. Does this work for Ludwig? I hope so. But 2, I also hope that they kind of like roll a different person out there in the Americano mask every single week.
Yeah.
So Ludwig can wrestle somebody to prove it's not him.
Yeah, just make it somebody brand new every single week. Like
throw Julius in it one week and then throw somebody else in it. Continue to help. Put a woman in the mask one week. Like I don't care. Like,
I was gonna say if it was like a month ago, because it wouldn't make sense now, but like R-Truth would be perfect to just go in there 1 week, like something like that.
Yeah, but no, we'll see. Listen, they got creative and came up with a way to keep the character going. And for me, I think Ludwig Kaiser is an extremely underutilized talent.
Yes.
I think he's somebody that is in the Chad Gable category of he can talk, he can wrestle, he can do everything. Why are you not using this guy?
Mm-hmm.
So if this is a way to springboard him and get him some more TV time, do I hate the fact that it had Chad Gable get to the point where he had to put on the mask and do this character to get over? But if it's going to do the same thing for Ludwig, that's fine. And then when Chad does come back, I don't know how long his shoulder is going to keep him out for because I think he has to get surgery on it. But
he did have it this week.
But if you have the Undertaker versus Undertaker match, and just do El Grande Americano versus El Grande Americano match.
The Spider-Man meme.
Yeah. Sign me up. Put that on WrestleMania night 1. Sign me up right there.
That could be a good moment for the Rumble.
Oh, it'd be a hell of a moment for the Rumble.
Yeah.
Especially after like a clear out phase.
Yeah.
And there's only like maybe 1 or 2 guys in the ring. They're selling in the corner. You get El Grande's music hits and they come in, they just stand across.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tremendous.
Like 3 faces of Foley, but all Americano.
Right. All Americano. America weekend. All Americano.
In Saudi.
Yeah. So with that being said, my Mount Rushmore, it's Monday night for me. Just the whole aspect, the atmosphere, everything about it. Like I said, it was a really good night, really fun night of pro wrestling. But man, that Jey Uso electricity, like I was live for some shows with Hogan, but I was super young, so I didn't like fully get the electricity aspect of Hogan coming out to crowds. I've been at shows where other moments have happened that were holy shit moments, like fully getting thrown off the cage. That first Rampage show was a live venue to be at. But man, that electricity that comes through with Jey Uso is absolutely insane. I'm gonna say it again. So like, yeah, just phenomenal there.
I think we were there for a yes movement, and I think let's go Cena sucks at its peak. So like when you get that stuff going, yeah, it's electric.
Yeah.
I mean, even
Austin.
Even whoop that trick. being in a small venue felt.
Hey, we had gone to some NXT shows live that felt like large arenas.
Mhm.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't matter how many people are there; it's just how over the gimmick can be to make it
True. Speaking of rolling into another wrestling related topic, we brought up Saudi. So WWE Saudi will take place next year with 3 WWE PLEs, starting with the Royal Rumble. So it looks like they're going to do the Royal Rumble, another show in May, and then one in November. So if that's the case, I'm looking at they're going to get the Rumble and Survivor Series, for sure.
They usually do Crown Jewel in November, so
that could be. But is Crown Jewel considered like a top PLE? I think that's just the shoddy show, right? Like
usually it is, except this year. But
so with that being said, is that too much from a PLE perspective being in one place, or doesn't it matter and WWE is just going to do what WWE always does?
For me, it's too much.
It's too much, but WWE doesn't care.
You can give them their crown jewel. They don't need everything else.
I agree, Jason. Like
I
give them
know
their
we talk
normal
about
events, but
we talk about TKO turning WWE into a Las Vegas based promotion and wanting to run WrestleMania in Vegas on a continuous basis or as much as possible and everything else. Like I can see a point in time that like they're just going to have shows in Vegas or Saudi.
Yeah.
I don't like
to me just completely handicaps your product.
That almost made my Mount Rushmore was just watching Night of Champions and not seeing a single ad anywhere in the building. It just felt refreshing. No prime bottle cart. Only thing you saw was the Riyadh season on the middle of the logo, and everything else just felt old school. You can focus on the match, focus on the TV. It was just different, clean.
Yeah. You didn't have sponsorships all over the place like a NASCAR.
Yeah.
The stage was a nice setup. Like it kind of gave you like that attitude era, like different type of stage setup for an event. Like,
yeah, we'll see what comes about it in that regards there. So, all right, we got 2 wrestling roulette topics left. Why don't we jump into some mushes first? So, what's Donald's mush of the week this week?
Ties into the topic we already talked about, Evolution. The women having a battle royal for #1 contendership at Clash at the Castle. This will be the 3rd #1 contender running around the main roster, with Naomi as Money in the Bank winner and Jada as Queen of the Ring. And now this lady. WWE is on that AEW booking, having the contender ready 2 months down the line.
I agree with that.
Yeah. I do too. It's just another continuation of tournament and too many people being used at the same time.
Yeah. Do you? And I know the bloodline is the antithesis of this statement, but do you feel like whether it's WWE or AEW as like the main 2 right now, but do you feel like they're booking that way because the audience doesn't have the attention span to sit and grow through a contender being built up the traditional way that a contender is built up?
I don't think. I mean, that was their logic 20 some years ago too, but saying that the crowd didn't have the attention span, but they still that's why the Attitude Era was what it was. But
could be a little bit of that. They don't have the talent. They don't have the talent who can express that through promos. All like that. Like you're not going to sit there and watch a Jade every week come out and talk herself into a match. I mean,
I definitely think there's this.
You're forecasting to my mush for the week, Jason.
I think there is a sweet spot where like you can have your matches that set up contenders, whether it be a Royal Rumble or you have a Money in the Bank or you have a Casino Gauntlet in AEW, right? You can have those sprinkled in just to add a different spice of life to the shows. But you also need to be able to develop talent and have them build up and come up through the system, so to speak, right? Because that's where you're going to garner the interest and the connectivity with the audience to make people want to tune in. Chris, to going back to your point with the earlier Wrestling Roulette question on what AEW can do differently, I feel like that's one of the things that has hurt AEW outside of, Hangman, who's been there the entire time, or a Swerve. Like, your people that you have had challengers that have come up, for the most part, have not been told through storylines and natural progression. It's been you win this eliminator match, you win this Owen tournament, you win this casino gauntlet,
and the outcome when the winner happens too. Like, that person isn't going to be a serious challenger here. It's for a Dynamite match just to promote Dynamite that week.
And in the WWE, I hate it because it's coming off lazy to me because you've had, like, say, how many times have we seen Rhea and Bianca
Rhea and Io will be the 5th time.
No, yeah, but you had a Rhea and Bianca moment. We're still waiting on that. How many people has Jade stared down since she's came in, and you're like, oh, we want this, we want that, and then you had Stephanie and Asuka. You played them up in a match, and you haven't seen them on TV 2 weeks. So you have these storylines we want that you can build and make them to a number one contender storyline, but it's like, let's have a tournament somewhere.
I saw a lot of that with Io and Asuka. You had Io and Asuka face off last week or 2 weeks ago on Raw, and yet Io calls out Rhea. Now, I'm hoping, based on the vignette that Kairi Sane had, I'm hoping that SummerSlam we get to Io Asuka or Io Asuka Kairi, some sort of story with those individuals, because 1, that's what the fans want. 2, that match will absolutely still show.
Yeah.
And 3, it's putting people in positions that are outside of the picture right now. So I don't know if that's where they'll go. I don't, we'll get into Evolution next week with predictions, but that's what I'm hoping comes out from it.
One of the things that I thought of with this Battle Royal match, and I'm not sure if it would have been better. It might have been still lazy booking at the end of the day. But do you think, like, maybe instead of, and this is even going to go into mine this week, instead of Tiffy and Trish having the match, do you think maybe they should have done the Battle Royal to kick off the show, and then the winner fought Tiffy? Then you just have it instead of prolonging 2 months down the road.
I mean, I think in that instance, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like, honestly, like, because of the tight turnaround time and running these shows back to back to back as much as they are in this recent string of events. Like, the summer you had Rumble, Money in the Bank, and then SummerSlam. So you had time to build the stuff. Now they've lumped in so much in between Mania and SummerSlam that you got to put on title matches, and you're just throwing ideas out there to get people in those spots for those matches. It's not.
And add the Saturday night's main event in between.
Right.
It's oversaturation of the product again.
The crazy part is we're seeing oversaturation. That's what we're saying is oversaturation, but we're not getting every title on every card. So you can intertwine storylines and not just book to the next PLE.
Yeah, I mean it's like that across the board with certain champions too. Like, you had the tag team champions, they, Montez Ford and them, they had their match. It was a DQ to set up the 4-way to lead to the lead to the Wyatts getting another title shot. And then in AEW, you have, the Ops as trios champions, and they haven't defended the belt in 90 days. So it's like, come on, man. What are we doing? I get it. You can't have everything on every single show all the time, but there's more than enough talent and more than enough championship belts that you could be building storylines every other week and sprinkling stuff in to where you get to a big show and you have a title match for all these champions.
Yeah.
So, all right, that was Donald's mush. Chris, your mush, obviously, from what I garner, was the promo segment between Tiffany, Jade, and Trish.
It was, but it wasn't how you think. I'm blaming the writers and the producers on this, because what really put it over to be my mush for the week wasn't the actual in-ring. Yeah, it's like Trish, to me, we've watched Trish enough. Trish has never been the strongest promo. You know, we know that. She gets by, but she's never been the strongest promo. But the problem that I've really had with it was they cut to commercial break after that. You come back, and you have Trish walking in the back, and Jade goes up to her and goes, "So I see you have a match at Evolution."
It felt out.
And Trish goes, "Yeah." And just like, you were just in the ring with her whenever it was announced.
Well, that's what happens when they tape stuff beforehand and then you splice it in afterwards, because we didn't see that whole backstage segment with Jade, Trish, and Naomi hitting Jade and then setting up the match for Naomi and Jade. None of that was shown in the arena live.
Okay.
So, as part of the taping. So they taped that whenever they taped it during the day, did the in-ring segment, because I was confused watching SmackDown last night, and I opened up Twitter and people were spoiling stuff ahead of time because it was taped and everything else. And I'm like, wait a second, that segment wasn't shown. Like, what are they doing? How's Naomi and Jade have a match? Like,
yeah.
But I could see why that would come across that way, as being just dumb as shit, because you literally were out there for the challenge and the acceptance. Like,
yeah, like the in-ring stuff, I mean, was Trish got a decent pop because it's Trish. But like the in-ring stuff was okay, it was what it was, you know, and move past it. But like whenever like I saw that, I was like you just like you had two segments for something that didn't need two segments.
Yeah.
And this just defeated the whole purpose of that. Like, and again, it wasn't even them. I'm not even blaming them, because it's whoever wrote that segment or produced that segment for them that made it look stupid.
You didn't even need that interaction. You could have just had Jade backstage getting attacked.
Yeah. Her walking back from the segment and then get attacked. Yeah, that's all you needed. You didn't need Trish.
Yeah.
And the commentary.
My mush this week, and then we'll throw it to another wrestling roulette topic. But my mush this week is, speaking of promos not being put on TV, when are you going to start putting these backstage segments that Karrion Kross is cutting on television? This man is hitting grand slam home runs on every single promo that he's cutting, and nobody is seeing it outside of the people that follow him on social media.
That might be a sign, man.
That's what it's for. That's all what it's for.
But I absolutely hate that, because of how, and this is tied directly into him and his rise, because he got over cutting a promo after WrestleMania. And I know Taekwon's in the comments like, shut up about Kross, this, that, and the other. Like, I'm using Kross as the example because it's how he's been done, but this is applicable to other talents that have done this in the past, that they just strictly throw it on social media because they need social media content. But it would generate buzz on the show. AEW has been good for this for years. Going back to some of the stuff Hangman's cut. Hell, Matt Menard has cut some of my favorite promos that you've only seen if AEW posted it. But if you put it on a show, it would have greatly changed the impact of the show. So, like,
I said for a long time that AEW need that recap show. You know, so you got like that backstage stuff or the social media stuff that you weren't getting.
Yeah, like you gotta be smarter with what you pick and choose as far as putting out for just social media content, or hell, a lot of the talents are putting stuff out just on their own social media pages, and it's not even being picked up by the promotions. Yep. It's like you have like the stuff with Natty.
Yeah,
none of that's on TV. Why? She's challenging the Evolve World Champion now. Like, it's her best work of her career from a promo character standpoint, and nobody is seeing it because none of it is on television. She's stuck in a tag team with Maxine Dupree.
But she did a really good job this week explaining the backstage segment on Busted Open of why she's teaming with Maxine. So I appreciated that.
That sounded wrong. I'm not mad that them two are in a tag team. It's just like, come on, man. Like, what are we doing? You have stuff here that can help elevate the shows and garner more interest from a character perspective, because that's where you get the connection. You got to connect with the wrestlers.
Listen, you know me. I'm a Natty fan, so I'm going to advocate for her being used more anytime. But I think her contract extension that she signed is for her to do what she's doing now, is to help put the talent over more than her get the shine.
Which, okay, that's fine. She's an 18-year vet. Like, I get it. But at the same time, like, what are we doing? You got to recognize that at some point and look at it and go, okay, how can we use this to our advantage?
They always say they're looking for, like, take Jey Uso, for example, that organic fan reaction. They said they pushed Jey because the fans wanted it. Well, the stuff Natty's doing, I think, garners just as much for her to get some more of a push than what she's getting too.
Right. All right, Jay, before you give your mush of the week this week, give me a number between 1 and 5.
1.
All right, number 1, Busted Open officially went live as Busted Open 24/7 on July 1st. It's the first time ever for a 24-hour pro wrestling news source to be in existence. Officially, like, through an actual media medium, so to speak, right? So with that being said, what do you guys feel the impact of this will be? And do you think it will change the future of pro wrestling coverage? Not necessarily pro wrestling, but as of pro wrestling coverage.
Is it more than just podcasts?
Yeah, so they have a lineup of shows. They haven't fully booked out 24 hours worth of shows right now. They do have I think it's like 9 a.m. through maybe 4 p.m. or 6 p.m. They have shows lined up. So Busted Open is 9 to noon. Sam Roberts is 12 to 2. I think Jonathan Coachman and that Coach's Corner is like 2 to 4 or something like that. So they have a lineup of shows that they're running right now.
And then Rosenberg, I think, has a show on Friday.
And what, they just re-air it? Like rebroadcast it?
So I haven't
I
haven't pulled up. I know, like, they're doing the live shows after Raw with Dreamer.
Every day there's a live
NXT
show.
with Bully, like those reaction shows that you would just tune in for and listen, that were plugins for that particular time slot. Those are slotted in now, that you'll get to hear those every single day, at that time. I think Denise Salcido, she has something as far as a show going on that's going to be one of the nights covering Impact. She's covering Impact after Thursdays.
So yeah.
They already had weekend stuff slotted in with LeBar and that on Sunday, and Denise and Mark Henry Saturday morning. So, like, they have shows already in place, but there's still time gaps where they don't have official programming yet. Okay. They're going to get there. But the fact that the fans drove Sirius to make them into an actual pro wrestling channel, I think is the big thing here.
I mean, back in the day when SportsCenter, was on how many times a day, and essentially it was the same show over and over again, just updated, I think that's what you're going to get out of Busted Open for a little bit, just get some of the replays in there until more things go on. But I mean, good. They all work their ass off for it. So good for them for it happening.
My hope is that it's not just solely shows with, like, retired pro wrestlers or wrestlers that aren't, full time, but still do wrestling. Like, I don't want to say, have fans come in, but I'm talking about like, people that go to journalism school, whatever the case may be, like Syracuse, Northwestern, all that, they come out like ESPN, Fox Sports, like those networks that were like the only avenues to go into now. But I feel like now with this being the case, you have fans of pro wrestling that can grow up and go, okay, I can get into radio now for pro wrestling in an official capacity, right? Because this is available to me from a medium aspect.
And even WWE's really lately dove back into the podcast game again, with Cody's show, with producing the Undertaker show now. Steph has her own stuff. Like, they're investing in that again.
Yeah, and Steph had a good show this week with Randy Orton. It was a really, really good interview with him. He talked about a lot of stuff coming off of Men's Mental Health Month in June, talking about his issues with mental health and panic attacks and so on and so forth. The Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens episode was tremendous. What do you want to talk about? Like those two, I can listen to Kevin Owens talk for days and days in that regards. But I just feel like this is like a first official, professional wrestling is being taken as a viable entity to where we need to dedicate 24 hours to programming.
Because what was it before? Fight Nation?
Fight Nation, yeah. They were on Busted Open on Fight Nation, so they covered all combat sports. They had the UFC shows and everything else.
So I don't know if those have went anywhere, because since the channel was rebranded into Pro Wrestling Nation, I don't know if the Fight Nation content is moving somewhere else or if that just got pushed aside. But
yeah, so we'll see what comes about it. But I think it's good. I think you'll see the impact, years down the road from it, and hopefully it'll give talent a shot that may not have gotten exposure elsewhere, but they can now. And I know everybody has a podcast, right? But feel like it's a great way to springboard into some other avenues and be taken seriously. Because I know the pro wrestling journalists get the bad flack of, all right, you're being worked, you're part of the show with these press conferences and everything else. So we'll see what happens comes about from that. So with that being said, before we get into our last wrestling roulette topic, Jay, what was your mush of the week this week?
My mush is I don't want to say it's the New Day, but it's the story of the New Day. That was just a wasted heel turn. I'm kind of glad they put it on JD and Finn, because now the tag titles will be in a prominent position and on TV, but they did nothing with New Day after that turn.
Yeah, it makes no sense, man. I don't get it. You waited how many years to finally turn New Day heel?
And had an epic moment.
With the heel turn, as far as what they did to Big E to actually stamp themselves, and had just the most heat possible.
And it was, you ran into the Viking Raiders over and over again. Like, you didn't push the Creeds or nothing in this feud.
That goes to show where they're at with tag team wrestling.
That's how I felt on Monday whenever the title change happened. I was like, if it's not New Day, it's Judgment Day. Like, that's it in the Raw tag division for champions right now.
So now you'll get, Judgment Day versus Viking Raiders and maybe the Creed brothers, but you'll be right back in the same hamster wheel again.
Just
until something changes. Like, SmackDown has like 6 or 7 tag teams right now.
Okay.
You have the 4 that had.
They do.
You have the 4 that teamed up. You have the Wyatts, and then you have Andrade and Phoenix now are a tag team.
Why are Andrade and Phoenix a tag team?
So that was for basketball reasons, and they just threw them two together because
like they're pushing it. But
yeah, so honestly, I think what happened was Phoenix not being able to come in the same time as Penta scrapped the Lucha Brothers because they were supposed to come over and debut as a tag team.
Okay.
Penta being the star that he is and the reaction that he's gotten, you don't want to take that away right now, which is kudos to him, right? So with Phoenix, I mean, not a slight to Phoenix. I think Phoenix is a better wrestler out of the two between him and Penta, but Penta has more of the aura and charisma.
Yeah. Which is why they're such a good tag team together.
Right.
You get the complete package with them as a tag team.
But it's like you have all this on it's like you have all this on SmackDown, but it's like you're actually doing nothing. You're just running the hamster wheel, the same shit.
Like the match last night. Let's take one person from each tag team and put them against the Wyatt Six. Like,
yeah, and if the Wyatts win, then they get a tag match.
Yeah,
so yeah. You have teams over on SmackDown. You're just not doing anything with the teams on SmackDown. You have no teams on Raw, so you got to change titles, and take the titles off of a true heel group in 2025. That was the craziest part about it is New Day were like they were like a 1980s heel group. Like they had just absolutely hatred and vitriol being spit at them on a regular basis, and you did nothing with it.
But they were put on commercial break commentary promos. Like,
right.
That was where you were doing your disservice.
All right, so those were our Mount Rushmores and Wishes of the Week. Before we get into the game, let's run through the last Wrestling Roulette topic for this week's show. So Mercedes Moné wrestled her 1,000th match on Dynamite this week. What is your favorite Mercedes/Sasha Banks match? And based on where she's at right now, would you put her on the Mount Rushmore of women's wrestling all time?
She definitely has the argument to be in that conversation. Favorite match, her and Bayley, Brooklyn.
I think you can make a list of Mount Rushmore matches from Sasha Banks and from Mercedes Moné, and you're going to be hard pressed to find another woman to have 8 matches that top that.
Mm-hmm.
I'd go her and Bayley in Brooklyn, or her in Charlotte when they were here at
Roadblock.
Yeah. And she's on my Mount Rushmore, yes.
Her and Bayley, for me, Brooklyn was that was like the official women can main event moment for me. Like we've had, the Trish and Lita and that prior to, but like those two going out there in that match, in that setting, on that pay-per-view, like 1,000% stamped it. I actually like the what was it, the Iron Woman match a little bit more whenever she made Izzy cry.
Okay.
I think from a match perspective, I like that match a little bit more. Brooklyn was just so big because of what it was at the time when it happened and what it did for women's pro wrestling. But her and Bianca at WrestleMania, anything with her and Asuka to me is top tier. Like what those two can fight forever. But when she left WWE and what she's done outside after that, I mean, her and Statlander, her and Willow, her and Stephanie Vakir.
Did you see Chris Statlander won like a title this week?
Yeah, the Eve.
I don't. Yeah, and like I saw that Mercedes like posted like an emoji, and Chris Statlander responded back to her, going like, "Stay away from me."
Yeah, Mercedes ruffled some feathers going live on Wednesday night and said, "Don't call me Mercedes Hogan, call me Mercedes Omega." Which I'm okay. I like it.
Huh?
I'm so good, none of yins can beat me. I'm the Kenny Omega, the Alpha of the Omega. It's not that I won't lose. It's just none of yins are good enough to beat me.
Okay.
And hell, her and Mina on Wednesday night was tremendous. like Chris, I know you didn't watch the show.
Yeah.
Jay, I don't know if you watched the whole thing or not on Wednesday.
It was a match that made me want to tune in. I'll say that.
Yeah. And Mina, Chris, I'm jumping over to your side of the street there. Because, oh boy. Yeah.
That entrance will do it every time.
Yeah. But those two on Wednesday night for me was the match of the night on Dynamite. And that was even with Ibushi and Okada. And there was one the Young Bucks and Takeshita versus the Paradigm and Bandito. So, yeah, Mercedes is Mount Rushmore all-time women's pro wrestling for sure. So, congratulations to her in that regards there. So, speaking of Mount Rushmores in our game this week, the Hardy Brothers, Jason's favorite tag team of all time, the Hardy Boys, they were on Ariel Helwani's show this week, and they gave their Mount Rushmore of pro wrestling tag teams. So, little debate this for this week's game. Who was on your Mount Rushmore of tag team wrestling? And I'll give you what each Hardy brother said, and then we can go around the horn and you can tell me who's on your Mount Rushmore.
I have Donald's too.
So Matt Hardy said his Mount Rushmore tag team wrestling are the Road Warriors, the Dudley Boys, Arn and Tully, and the Hardy Boys. Jeff Hardy said Rock and Roll Express, the Fabulous Freebirds, the Road Warriors, and the Rockers. And looking at each one of their
different
Mount Rushmores, they play out personality-wise. Jeff having Rock and Roll Express, the Freebirds, and the Rockers on there, like when you look at the personality of those tag teams, that's kind of Jeff Hardy, right? Like,
and it makes sense because they grew up on Southern wrestling too. So
absolutely. So I mean, both lists have the Road Warriors, and that's it from a consensus standpoint. So I'll throw it down to give Donald's first, so Jay can have more time to think about this.
Okay. I don't know if this is any specific order. Road Warriors, Legion of Doom, Dudley Boys, Young Bucks, and the Vanity Project. Just kidding. The Steiner Brothers.
He would have been banned from this show for life if he would have had the Vanity Project on there. Or Pretty Deadly. That would have put him out there.
That I'm surprised wasn't on.
So he had the Road Warriors, the Steiners, the Dudleys, and who else?
Young Bucks, and then
Young Bucks.
Yeah. Mine's very similar to that. I have Dudley's for me are my favorite tag team of all time. So even though I'm not doing this in any order, they would be my first pick. LOD, Hardy Boys, and the Young Bucks.
Legion of Doom, Steiners, Harlem Heat, and give me the Brothers of Destruction.
Listen, he's going crazy over there today.
I got to go out and finish cutting my grass too because the batteries in my weed whackers died while I was doing it. So it'll get even more messed up. For me, Road Warriors are, I think they're consensus regardless of who you ask in tag team wrestling. So I'll go Road Warriors. I'll go Dudleys. See, I can't say like Four Horsemen because they weren't, tag team, but I'll go Road Warriors. I'll go Dudleys. I'll go the Hart Foundation and FTR.
Not a bad one. I was thinking FTR, the New Day, and Harlem Heat were three that were also on mine. New Day kind of like Horsemen, like they're a 3-man group. Yes, they're the longest reigning tag champs and are in the tag scene, but they're a 3-man group too.
Well, it's just like the Freebirds. Like
Yeah.
Jeff had the Freebirds on there. I think it's like any Mount Rushmore that you do, right? You're going to leave teams off. I think you're almost better doing it as far as like eras, you know, because if you're going, you know, era wise, like from 2000s till now, I would go New Day, Usos, Young Bucks, FTR.
Yeah, Usos are in contention too.
You know, if you're doing 90s, you got Hardys, Dudleys,
Edge and Christian,
and Harlem
Brothers of
Heat.
Destruction, Harlem Heat.
And Harlem Heat would probably be my 4. You know, 80s, again, you're looking at, you know, Heart Foundation, Road Warriors, Steiners, Demolition, or the Rockers. Like,
yeah.
And then there's some tag teams that didn't get a long enough run that I think would have made a Mount Rushmore. So like the Hollywood Blondes with Pillman and Austin, to me, if they got a true run, they could have been a Mount Rushmore tag team, given what you had in that group.
Yeah.
Right? The British Bulldogs, another, you know, potential tag team that could have had a run. So I just feel, again, kind of wrap up the topic on tag team wrestling. When it's done right, nothing else in pro wrestling beats it.
Speaking on tag team wrestling, I sent you guys over the picture of my niece. So my niece comes in, we're out for family dinner. She comes in with a Harlem Heat shirt on. And I'm like, I need that. What size is it? Because I'm taking it when you're done. She's like, these guys? I was like, do you even know who they are? She's like, no. So I show her the Booker T. Hogan clip.
Yeah.
And she's like, I have no idea. I just bought it because it matched my shoes. She was like, honestly, I thought these were guys from House Party. And my brother looked at her.
Play?
She thought it was kid. My brother he leaned in. He was just like, no. My brother didn't even watch wrestling. He was like, no. I've never been more disappointed as an uncle in my life. I haven't made this much of an impact.
You failed her on wrestling.
I failed you on wrestling. That you don't know the Harlem Heat or Booker T.
Yeah.
Any quick hitters from any of you guys?
The only thing, this was an interesting one from Jordan Grace on Twitter this week. She had posted, we have wrestlers out here using ChatGPT to write promos now. We're cooked. And someone responded back to her going like, I've met wrestlers that use ChatGPT to call matches. Like,
oh wow.
Yeah. Like that's where it's heading.
Let's table that discussion, because that brings up a lot of talking points of the use of AI in pro wrestling that I didn't even think about. So let's table that to a longer discussion format, because got some stuff there that we could definitely throw out.
Jason's like 3 weeks from now we're talking about it.
Yeah, that's Jason's intro topic of the show 3 weeks from now. Jay, you got any quick hitters?
No.
I got 3 things that I'll run through real quick. So there was a lot of scuttlebutt and talk coming out this week that, based on Corey Graves' performances recently, that he's too much of a talent not to have on the main roster full time from a commentary perspective, regardless of who's there and who's not.
We knew that.
Do you want to see Graves on the main roster, either Raw or SmackDown, continuously in either a 3-man booth, or in the case of like Raw when Pat's not there, him and Cole doing a 2-man booth in that regards?
Yes.
I'd keep him on NXT, because I'm enjoying him wherever he's at. At least in NXT, it's not Booker and Joseph. Like, you get oversaturated with Booker and you're tuning Joseph out.
I said it a few weeks ago. As I think Corey deserves to be on either Raw or SmackDown. I'd be happy with keeping him on Raw full time. But maybe give him the AAA project and let him be the voice of AAA.
With him and Conan.
Yeah, however they want to do that, that can be his baby. He can build that one that can be designed. He can run that however he wants to. And I don't know if that would make him 100% happy, but I think, having that little bit of creative freedom would be a good thing. And he could be the voice of that company.
This week it was announced, we talked about Roman Reigns being cast in Street Fighter as Akuma. But this week it was announced that Cody Rhodes has been cast as Gayu in a live-action Street Fighter movie that has not yet started filming. However, it's supposed to be released in May of next year, which to me does not leave enough time to film a movie, edit it, and get it put out there.
Is it Jason that said it sounds like a lot like fan writing? Yeah, like that, I agree. Like I haven't seen any official announcements on these. I've just seen like the Facebook.
No, they're official. They are official. Official.
Is this a WWE project?
Nope. But if you got Roman Reigns and you got Cody Rhodes, what does this do as far as booking them to? And does it make you feel like that Cody Rhodes will not beat John Cena now at SummerSlam?
Guess what you're getting? You're getting a Street Fighter themed WrestleMania match.
Well, if we had a Superman themed Dynamite on Wednesday for 300, I guess having Street Fighter themed WWE would fall in line there.
That surprised me. Last night on SmackDown, they advertised Superman on like that's a WB movie, like AEW. I get, but I was definitely surprised at WWE getting it.
And then lastly, for me, to tie AEW 300 up in a bow. So Ospreay and Swerve are facing the Young Bucks at All In. If the Young Bucks lose, they lose their EVP titles. If Swerve and Ospreay lose, the stipulation is neither man can challenge for the world title for a year. Does this stipulation make any sense, one, and does it do anything to add to the match?
No to the match. Two things I'm debating on right now. Young Bucks had recently said that they were interested in purchasing Pro Wrestling Guerrilla if that's up for sale. So it's making me think, are they purchasing that and are they going to get that up and running? And then two, this week, Tony Khan announced that All In is back at Wembley next year. So it's just like, so if Ospreay can't fight for the title the next year, he can get it at Wembley next year.
Is it legit or storyline EVP titles?
That's why I said makes me wonder with the Pro Wrestling Guerrilla thing.
I don't know. But
when's wrestling best? When it blurs that line.
Yeah, but this is like just a half-assed witted stipulation added in for a match that people were going to tune in and watch just because of the 4 men in the match.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it's AEW matchmaking for AEW matchmaking because it's why are these two wrestling each other? We don't know. Basketball reasons. Oh, let's add a stipulation to it.
Swerve and Ospreay can't fight for the title, so who does that leave it open for? Darby.
Well, we'll get into that next week because I'll make a lot of people mad with my take next week. All right. Thanks for tuning in to episode 246 of Dunmark's podcast about Monday night. Follow us on all social media platforms at Dunmark's Pod. Head on over to prowrestlingtees.com/Dunmark'sPod. Pick up some merch. We'll give you a live shout out on air. You have got any gripes, criticisms, praise for the show? Email us at dunmarkspod@gmail.com. Gentlemen, if nothing else needs to be said there, your quote of the week this week is, if you don't sacrifice for what you want, then what you want becomes a sacrifice. If you don't sacrifice for what you want, then what you want becomes a sacrifice. Thanks for tuning in. As always, rocking with your boys. And until next time, I'm a Mark, you're a Mark, telemark. Catch you around the way.